I hope the sun's not in here not too bad. So I'm here on Milford, on Lake Milford in Kansas, and I'm drifting because I want to keep moving and I'm trying to find active fish, and probably there's some videos up about this trip, hopefully, if we manage to get on some fish. If so, then I'll put a card up and you can go check out those videos or that playlist. Otherwise, we can focus on what you're here for. We're talking about drifting. So drifting is a great way to look for catfish because you keep moving until you find active fish. So that's what I'm doing here today. And I got a good situation here that I want to show you. A couple of the ins and outs to make your life easier when you try and drift. Drifting is probably the best argument for having 4 adjustable rod holders. And I'll show you why. This railroad bed that I'm drifting along runs north and south, right? So if the wind is blowing from the south perfectly north, then, you know, I could get on top of the bridge or on top of the railroad bed, and I could get my lines out and I could let the wind just push me down it, and that would be fantastic. But as we all know, nature doesn't always cooperate quite like that. So typically what happens is you find a drift pattern you want to set up on. You want to go down a ledge, down the edge of the channel, down a bluff wall, a road bed, whatever. But there's a path that you want to go down. And the wind will be usually not moving directly along that path, but at an angle. So if you try and put your rods out the front or out the back and make your corrections, then as you're making your corrections, you're going to have to end up, you can't go directly sideways to make your corrections. So you end up nosing one way or the other and paddling, try and get out and then readjust your position, and you end up getting too much speed, right? So you get your speed dialed in, and then making those corrections, you end up over paddling and going too fast, and you're taking your baits out of position while you do it. If you have rod holders in the front and the back, then you can position yourself so that the wind is hitting you broadside. So I've got them in these 2 rod holders, angled out that way. The wind's pushing me this way, and I'm facing the direction that I need to make the correction. So as the wind is pushing me north, it's also pushing me a little bit west. And as I move off of my target drift line, so I start to move west of the railroad bed towards the shore, and when I lose it on my sonar, I can paddle forward very gently, very slowly, until I get back over the top of it. And I'm not adding any speed to my drift down or up. I'm drifting north, so it's up technically. So by having rod holders on the sides, being able to put your 2 rods on one side or the other, you can position your kayak so that the wind is pushing you broadside the direction you want to go, and then you can point your nose at the direction you need to make the corrections. And depending on how windy it is or how not windy it is, you might have to make small corrections, or you might have to slowly paddle forward as the wind's pushing you broadside. And that's okay. Whatever you got to do to dial in and maintain the speed you're trying to get at along the path, because there are 2 goals, the 2 primary goals when you're drifting: the path that you're taking and the speed that you're doing it at, right? So if the wind is blowing too fast and you can't slow it down, then a drift sock is in order, and the drift sock will be another video. If the wind is moving at the right speed, which is beautiful when it happens, then you can simply point your nose the direction you need to correct. And then let's say the wind dies down, which here at Milford almost never happens, but has happened. Sorry about that. Look here now. Look at the lake. The wind has just absolutely died down. There's not even a breeze. There is, I just think I'm in an area where the wind stops, because you can see there's a line of ripples out there, and if I got out there, I would probably have enough wind and it would still be pushing me, but where I'm at is, I don't want to be out there. I want to be more this way. And that's no problem, because then when that happens, let me sit right here. You see? You good? Then when that happens, all I got to do is take the two rods that I'm running off my right, and I'll just rotate them. We're just going to play little musical chairs with them. See here? And now here out the front, and you can already see just the drag of those sinkers is starting to pull me, starting to turn me a little bit. And then I'm going to use the paddles to get myself back in, and now my lines are going to be coming out the front, but I'm going to be able to paddle, and I'm going to back paddle right now. I actually like back paddling so that I can, that's kind of sketchy. I like back paddling so that I can see my rod tips, see what's going on. So I'll forward paddle, it depends, but right now, especially for the purpose of making this video, a little demonstration, I'm going to do it. I think this will be the easiest way to do it. So now, all I've done is just shift my rods into the rod holders so that I'm pointing backwards, but I can see my rod holders and my rods are still where they need to be. And now I can just paddle and I'm trolling. Tiny little adjustment, 4 rod holders makes that super easy. And what you want to do is not get lazy and get complacent and just fall into, oh, this is where they are and I'm drifting, and then when the wind changes, you know, just keep doing whatever the wind is, because you're not at the mercy of the wind. You're using the wind. So if the wind shifts, no problem. Make your adjustment in your rod holders and get your nose the way that it needs to be, whether it's so that you can make an adjustment with adjustment paddles and adjustment strokes, or whether it's so that you can nose in or tail in the direction you're going, and you can use your paddles to get your speed where you want to be. So now I'm going to see if I can actually talk and do what I'm doing at the same time. And I have gotten off my railroad bed, but that's okay. I'm gonna get back on it. That's the argument for 4 rod holders. And if you have 4 adjustable rod holders, then drifting becomes a whole lot easier, because instead of fighting the wind when it's not cooperating, which is most of the time, you can just make a small adjustment and make your corrections with your paddle. So hope that helps. You got sun. I'm sorry. Hope that gives you something to work with, some ideas that you can use here to make your life happier and easier when you're drifting. And drifting is a great way to fish. You'll definitely, if you don't drift for catfish, definitely give it a try, because I promise you, you will up your catch rate. So there you have it. You have any questions? Down in the comments. Any suggestions? Down in the comments. Subscribe for the next ones, and make sure you hit the bell so you know when I put them up. Okay? Catch you later.